Hello everybody, in this EasyFlow review video I'm going to be telling you everything that you need to know about EasyFlow. Also, in case you do have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I will also be leaving a discount link in the description so that you can always get your money's worth for EasyFlow. So EasyFlow is an automation website so that you can link essentially two things together. A really common example of this would be if you want emails that you receive to go to a spreadsheet. That's one of the potential things that you can do, and this website is absolutely brilliant at doing that for you. So what we would need to do to begin is, as you can see, we have the taskbar on the left, and then we have our top taskbar here. We're going to go ahead and simply begin. So I'm basically in this tutorial going to be showing you the main feature that I would do, which is connecting an email to an Excel document, but you can do a lot more with it, but I'm going to give you the basics. So here we are on the dashboard. Now, to create an automation, all you need to do is hit the plus button. Now you have three different main types, and then you also have more options at the bottom, but we're going to, for the sake of this video, going to go to Start New Flow. To describe what this does, this basically creates an online database. So for example, if you wanted to automate things going in and out of the database, this is what you would use. And if you wanted to make a pie chart to transform the data that you get into a sort of a chart, like a bar chart or a pie chart, you would select this one here. Basically, as you can say, a visual analysis of what data you're getting. So we're now going to go down to flows. Now, as you can see, I've got two here. We've got move email to Excel document. Essentially, I've put that because that's one of the examples of something that you could do with this automation. And then I've got test one. For the sake of this video, we're going to be using test one. So if I go ahead and hit test one, we have these different settings under manage. We've got designer, rename and organize, activity stream, event rules, services and apps, and explore. If you go to designer, this essentially lets you, without any form of coding, let you create your automation. So I'm not going to go ahead and create an automation, but I'm going to tell you how you would and what you would do and all the different options. So there's many different things that you can do. Essentially, you can link any two things together as long as it makes, reasonable sense. So here are a list of the popular ones that they use. These aren't all of the ones that they have. They offer a lot more. But for example, if you wanted to link your Google Calendar with, say, an Excel document, that's completely possible. All you would need to do is you can click and drag these onto this big sort of flow chart. You can have it positioned any way you want for ease, and then you would also drag your second one here. And then you also on the right have your configuration options. So under Google Calendar, as you can see, you have webhooks, events, calendars, create an event, quick add event, etc., etc. This can actually edit the Google Calendar by hitting create an event. So if you link it with your already existing Google account, this, instead of having to go into Google Calendar, you can actually create something through here, which is actually really handy. You can also delete an event and remove a calendar, as well as integrate webhooks so you can have it appear on external websites as well. And then if you go to MS Excel, we have a similar amount of things, but these are all tailored to Excel. So you can get a get used range, retrieve data by range, and get a worksheet. All things that you typically have, and then by hitting show more searches, you have three more options that you may need to use. You can also update the worksheet, add or update rows, or add or update columns, along with adding worksheets, deleting row, or deleting columns. So there we have it. At the top here, we have another load of buttons. So say you, for instance, you wanted to test out the automation that you've created, you would hit run once. You can also save the automation. Here we have a start event thing. So this would just set a sort of timer at regular intervals of how often you want the events to occur. So say you wanted it to update your spreadsheet every half an hour, you simply set an interval of 30 minutes. You also have time from, date, start, and status, so you can have it a time where you want it to happen. It can happen in a certain time frame, and the date of which you want it to start if you want it to start in a couple of days' time. And then under input parameters, you can also do that in JSON format. You also have the options to debug. So if you made an error in your thing, it will take you to an external website here, of which you can then debug, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. And then obviously you have your I for information button, giving you a little bit of information about your total runs of all time, and then your webhook ID. And then you also have your warnings and errors so that you can fix anything that may happen. As well as this, you have built-ins connections. So these are services that are built into the actual website that you can use, and then you also have settings to search hundreds of services, as you can see. So if we then head to visualizers, this is where you can visualize your data in a really nice way. As you can see, here's an example, and all you would need to do is hit create your first dashboard, and we're going to call it visualization. There we are, and we're going to go ahead and hit save. Once this has been created, you can add cards. So we're going to say we're going to create a new card. And we're going to select, let's say, just a simple pie chart will do. So we're going to go to data, and you can set different data sources, so where you want the data to actually be coming from. But we're going to do an import from URL, and then all you would need to do is import your URL in here, and it would gather data. The URL is what you would get from earlier on. What I'm going to go ahead and do is hit test 1, and we're going to hit reload. And as you can see, the JSON data is invalid. This is because I don't have anything in that actual thing apart from two sort of independent Excel and Google Calendar things. But if you did set it up as I said, this would actually be working, and then very simply you can make different statistics based on that. Under display, you can set titles, and you can have different appearances. You can set the background color of the canvas. You can also, under legend, say whether you want the legend to be appeared or not. Under series and ranges, you can put value ranges, labels and colors. Labels and formats allow you to put all of these labels on the X and the Y axis. And then also you can choose where they're actually placed, whether they're on the inside, the outside, etc. And then the format of what is on your graph. You can obviously set a number scale, so it would be like 1000 to 1000, and then your number scale unit, along with changing the font of the text on your chart. And then under settings, you can select the folder of which this is in, and then the refresh interval. We're now going to move on to the data stores. So this, as I talked about earlier, is in that original big plus button, you can create these. By hitting create new table, we're going to call it data block for the sake of ease. And by hitting save, this will simply create our new database. As you can see, we do not have any data at the moment, but what this does is it basically gives you a really nice area, and you can have all your date created and then your system ID of all the information. As you can see, we can view all data this month, this week, this year, and today. You can view how many rows you have at the bottom, along with the date created for the database and different sort of imports into the database, and then the system ID so that you can easily sort of distinguish in between entries. You also have the fields option. If you hit manage, this allows you to change the available fields. As you can see, we have object. This is the only one that we've got so far, and you can obviously change the array, boolean, integer, number, null, object, or string. This is the model type. So we're going to keep it with string, and then you can either set whether it's required or whether it's not. So moving on to connections, it obviously has 1,000 plus. There's a lot of connections on EasyFlow. And this is essentially what you use up here with flows when you're actually in one of those tables. And by hitting the button, as you can see, these are the most popular. And then you have all of these options. There are 82 different sort of categories. And then inside you have a plethora. So as you can see, we have YouTube, we have Orphonic, we have Bambusa, Video Ask, a load, even Zoom. There's a lot of things that you can do here and connect to different services. So essentially, if you wanted to automate something that you didn't think, the chances are this would have an automation for that software. Now going to more, we have monitoring logs, schema, and teams. By hitting monitoring and logs, we can essentially monitor all of the activity that is going and start tracking progress of all of our flows. So once you've created a flow, that's not the end of it. Once that's all working, you can make sure that it's all working correctly. You can track its progress. So if you needed to go back on something that happened a long time ago, this is essentially where you would do it. You have your latest activity in a little sort of bar chart here, and you also have your view mode. You can also move this back and forth to extend the size of your dashboard and your taskbar, and then you can obviously hit refresh if you needed to and you've made a change, but it hasn't actually updated yet. Also, by hitting more, you have schema. Now under schema, this is where you can build and manage all your data with their platform. So if you hit schema, you are then greeted with the very typical thing that you saw earlier on. This is very similar to that. You can set a designer or you can set a JSON schema. It's completely up to you. This would need to be in JSON format, however, if you already have one pre-written. And then you can obviously hit add, and then you can change the model type again, set whether it's required, or edit it. Essentially, if you do not know what this is, it's a structured plan of things that you've got, and essentially a really easy way to find a registry, or set up a registry for all of your data schemas across the platform. At the bottom, you obviously have your account, so you can view all the information about this under Profile, Preferences, Account, and Billing. For the sake of this, Profile and Billing are fairly self-explanatory, but if we go under Preferences, we can set whether we have notifications and email preferences that we want to receive. As you can see, features and instructions are all defaultly set to yes. If you do not want your email to be spammed, then you can turn these off. It's up to you. Then under Account, as you can see, we then, once it's loaded, have a large dashboard of all the information. And it also tells you your all-time metrics, along with the members in your group, how many workflows that you've got, and then your billing and the usage of the software. You can earn free credits. You can also hit this button, which once pressed takes you to the YouTube playlist of how to actually use this software. If you hit this button here, you can essentially give feedback to EasyFlow, so you can submit an idea, submit bug fixes, it's completely up to you. And then under help, you simply are taken to their contact center that you can contact them if you need help. And then you obviously have your upgrade button at the top there. So there we have it, that was EasyFlow. So now we need to answer the questions, do I think EasyFlow is good and will I recommend it? Now, I think it's a brilliant piece of software. I think that it's incredibly good at what it does. The ability to basically have that vast amount of integration is something that they must have taken a long time doing, and it basically means that people who come, it's a very vast audience. A lot of people are going to be able to use this. A lot of people are going to be able to use it as a beginner level or an intermediate level or even an advanced level, and I think that's really, really good. The one caveat that I will say is that I think it's quite difficult to learn. If you are unsure about whole web design and sort of coding and stuff like that, it will take you a little while, but the fact that they offer the videos on YouTube that you can view to help you out, I think that's really, really thoughtful, and I think that will really help a lot of people who are going to use this. So would I recommend it? I'd say the answer to that is yes. If you feel that you would be able to dedicate some time towards learning exactly how this works and all the different integration and automation features of the software, I think it would be really useful if this is something that you want to do. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.